He started working as a janitor at a mental hospital for the first time, but on his first day, he met a girl who was fresh and unique. Unfortunately, the girl was actually a patient receiving treatment, so he could only turn away in disappointment. Little did the janitor know, this barefoot girl would completely change his life. After work that night, Jay happened to pass by a ward when he suddenly heard the girl's cries for help. Without hesitation, he rushed into the room, only to see a male nurse attempting to violate the girl. Jay angrily charged forward and quickly subdued the nurse, but Daisy, overwhelmed with fear, kept apologizing.
Mrs. Newberry, go back to bed, please.
It's time to get up.
No, baby, it's time to sleep.
It's time to sleep.
Hey, be careful.
After calming Daisy down, Jay hurriedly left the hospital, while Daisy remained immersed in the rare warmth she had just experienced, unable to snap out of it for a long time. Not long after Jay left, Daisy secretly followed him.
I'm coming with you. He's got a patient. I don't like it here.
Jay initially didn't want to bring along a burden, but after a brief conversation with Daisy, he realized that she didn't behave as oddly as most mental patients. So he asked her why she wasn't wearing shoes.
They hurt my feet.
Jay sighed inwardly, realizing he might have overthought things. He quickly urged Daisy to return to the hospital, but at that moment, Daisy suddenly started breathing heavily, looking extremely anxious. Jay, startled, hurried to comfort Daisy. After giving her some money for the trip home, he turned to leave. However, he had only walked a few steps before stopping. Looking at her face, filled with both expectation and helplessness, Jay felt his heart soften. He couldn't just leave her behind like this, so he decided to contact Daisy's family, only to be shocked to find that she had no relatives. Just as he was feeling stuck, a bold idea flashed through his mind. Wasn't this the perfect girlfriend? In fact, Jay had once been a typical playboy, and he also came from a prestigious family. However, because he spent all his time indulging in debauchery, his father, fed up with his reckless lifestyle, froze all his assets and kicked him out to experience the hardships of life. But Jay didn't change his ways. Instead, he racked up a huge amount of debt. When the debt collectors came knocking, not only did Jay refuse to reform, but he even fought them, which landed him in jail. As a result, he was assigned to work as a janitor at the mental hospital. Desperate to escape his predicament and pay off his debts, Jay decided to ask his father for help. Using his younger brother's wedding as an excuse, he requested to return home. However, his father set one condition. He had to bring a girlfriend. And now, the beautiful girl in front of him might just be the perfect person to take home and appease his demanding father. Although Daisy's mental state was a concern, Jay figured that as long as she spoke little, they might be able to pull it off. But to Jay's surprise, Daisy caused quite a bit of trouble on her first time flying. When she went to the restroom, she didn't know how to operate the toilet and accidentally locked herself inside. Later, while Jay was resting, she sneaked into first class and ate someone else's food. A flight attendant noticed Daisy's unusual behavior.
What's wrong with her?
Excuse me, there's nothing wrong with my girlfriend. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Daisy was still basking in the rare feeling of being cared for. When she returned to her seat, she couldn't help but ask Jay about his gentle words earlier. Even though Jay's response was perfunctory, Daisy's pure heart was still filled with joy. Her mother had once told her that no one would ever accept a girlfriend like her. After a series of twists and turns, they finally arrived at their destination. Looking at the grand mansion before her, Daisy felt a wave of unease. Jay reassured her in a soft voice, telling her to just speak as little as possible. As they entered the house, Jay's mother greeted them with great enthusiasm, partly because her son had finally returned after a long time, and partly because it was the first time her future daughter-in-law had come to visit. However, the sight of Daisy's bare feet left his mother puzzled. Fortunately, Jay quickly and skillfully changed the subject, successfully diverting his mother's attention. Daisy, with her sweet and charming face, completely won over Jay's mother. Even his father took a liking to her, so much so that he didn't even notice her bare feet. As night fell, the family dinner officially began. Jay directly expressed his thoughts to his parents, lying that he held an important position at the hospital and needed an investment for a new project. However, his father saw through Jay's true intentions and bluntly pointed out that all he really wanted was money. Jay was left speechless, and the atmosphere became tense and awkward. At this critical moment, Daisy bravely stepped forward.
He actually does have a plan, Jason. And it's a very good one. We just can't talk about it right now.
You're a part of this?
Yes.
Well, then let's talk about it later.
Yes, let's.
Her words were like a gentle breeze, skillfully diffusing the impending conflict between Jay and his father. Jay couldn't help but be impressed by Daisy's wit. After dinner, Jay thoughtfully escorted Daisy back to her room, and at that moment, he took a fresh look at this special girl. At that moment, Jay realized that the girl before him radiated a light unlike any other, and this unique glow quietly planted a seed of emotion in Jay's heart. Soon after, Jay went to find his father. Although his father still had doubts about Jay's entrepreneurial path, Jay's eloquence eventually persuaded him. His father agreed to transfer the funds to Jay's account after Jay's brother's wedding concluded. However, early the next morning, Jay's mother hurriedly woke him up, telling him that Daisy was acting strangely. She was actually cleaning the bathroom. Jay quickly found Daisy, his confusion growing even stronger. He asked her why she was doing this.
My mother said that this is how you earn love.
Oh, I thought you didn't have any family.
My mother is dead. Because I killed her.
Jay stared at Daisy in disbelief. How could such a pure and innocent girl do something like this? Yet, in her eyes, he couldn't find a single trace of deceit. Even as his brother's wedding was about to begin, Jay still couldn't calm his emotions. But in the next second, Daisy's figure immediately caught his attention. Her golden gown shimmered like the morning sun, elegant and radiant. Her fresh and delicate makeup was as pure and translucent as dewdrops. At that moment, Jay was deeply moved by Daisy's unparalleled beauty. That beauty, like a warm current, slowly melted his mood. The wedding officially began, and a little girl was scattering flower petals for the newlyweds. But suddenly, Daisy stood up. Amidst the stunned gazes, she began picking up the petals from the ground one by one.
You're dropping it. What's the point?
Noticing this, Jay quickly stepped forward, gently pulling Daisy back to her seat and patiently explaining the etiquette and customs of the wedding to her. However, Daisy's unusual behavior also caught Mr. Wheeler's attention. During the evening ball, while Jay was momentarily away, Mr. Wheeler gracefully approached Daisy and invited her to dance. As they moved in rhythm, he subtly but sharply inquired about the details of her relationship with Jay and Jay's current situation. Each of Mr. Wheeler's questions was like a sharp blade, making it increasingly difficult for Daisy to breathe. It wasn't until Daisy collapsed to the ground that Jay rushed in to take her away, but Mr. Wheeler followed closely behind.
I'm a janitor in a mental hospital. It's part of my probation. She's a patient. That's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
You keep it.
Keep it. I gave that necklace to you.
She said I want her to have it.
But I gave it to you. It was an anniversary gift. What do you think?
It doesn't matter.
Leave it alone.
It doesn't
Leave it alone, Dad.
It doesn't matter.
The truth is always cruel. It is like a sharp knife slicing through beautiful illusions, forcing people to face reality's harshness. If Jay and Daisy's relationship was exposed, their only future would be to part ways. Shortly after, Jay stole his father's treasured vintage RV. As they drove along, Daisy was like an explorer in a new world, curiously examining every detail inside the vehicle. To her, this journey felt like an adventure, an exciting trip. Yet, amid Daisy's innocent joy and anticipation, Jay's heart was filled with unease and worry. He had already been assigned to the mental hospital as a janitor because of his past mistakes. If he was now accused of abducting a mentally ill girl, he would surely be prosecuted and sent to prison. After much contemplation, Jay took Daisy to a public bus station. Handing her some money, he softly told her he needed to step away to make a phone call and asked her to wait there. Daisy sensed the underlying meaning in Jay's words, but she chose to trust him, believing he would not abandon her. So Daisy waited quietly, her heart full of trust and expectation for Jay. And Jay chose to drive the RV away without looking back. Meanwhile, Daisy remained standing there, clutching the crumpled bills tightly in her hand. Even as curious glances surrounded her and the cold night wind bit at her bare feet, she continued to wait for Jay, all alone. When a staff member approached to ask about her situation, she still tried to force a small smile.
Okay, I'll be right over there. If you need any help, let me know, okay?
Meanwhile, Jay made a call to Dr. Bertelman, who was in charge of Daisy. Through Dr. Bertelman, Jay learned about Daisy's past. Her mother had locked her indoors since childhood, leaving her with minimal social and communication skills. "You need to bring her back before things get worse," Dr. Bertelman warned. After hanging up, Jay was overwhelmed with regret and guilt. Looking at Daisy's abandoned pair of shoes inside the car, he suddenly recalled her pure, innocent smile. As she glanced at the clock behind her, Daisy's heart sank in disappointment. It seemed Jay wasn't coming back. Barefoot, she walked across the cold tiles, choking back tears as she asked the front desk for help returning home. But just at that moment,
No more phone calls?
No. No more phone calls.
the next day, the sun shone brightly. The sky was clear, and the world seemed to be bathed in warmth and hope. They were back on the road again, but this time, it was completely different. Jay had taken on the responsibility of being a true boyfriend. His eyes gleamed with determination. He was going to protect Daisy and their shared future. At rest stops, he held Daisy's hand tightly, afraid she might get lost. He spent the little money he had left letting Daisy buy whatever she wanted. However, news of a janitor abducting a mentally ill girl had spread like wildfire. Their whereabouts had already been tracked by the police. With the situation growing dire, they had no choice but to flee. But Daisy was completely oblivious to the danger. Seeing the police cars chasing behind them, she even smiled and waved at them. Finally, at a critical fork in the road, Jay made a sharp turn, successfully shaking off the police. As night fell, they finally found a secluded forest to use as a temporary shelter. However, just as Jay was lost in a sweet dream, Daisy suddenly woke him up. Jay was startled awake, immediately sitting up and rushing into the bathroom to hide.
You make funny noises when you sleep. And there's a cop outside.
Meanwhile, Daisy calmly opened the RV door. Facing the officers who wanted to search the vehicle, she skillfully fabricated a lie, claiming her boyfriend had run into the woods. The officers believed her and hurriedly entered the woods to search. Seizing the opportunity, Daisy quietly removed the police car's keys and threw them far away.
Because if you go to jail, we can't be together.
Jay was utterly baffled by Daisy's actions. Daisy's words made warmth surge in Jay's heart. He couldn't help but question Dr. Bertelman's judgment. How could such a smart and lovable girl possibly be a mental patient? In the following days, they traveled leisurely during the day, carried by the breeze, and at night they lay in the RV, listening to the chirping of cicadas as they poured out their hearts to each other. As time passed, Daisy's love for Jay deepened, and she longed to be even closer to him. However, Jay only responded with a gentle smile, and in that smile lay tenderness and sincerity. If this had been before, he might have responded to Daisy's passion without hesitation. But now, his feelings for her had transcended mere desire. They later arrived at a lively amusement park, where they slid down the slides, laughing freely as Daisy's excited screams echoed around them. They stood before the towering Ferris wheel, savoring delicious snacks that Daisy had never tried before. When they rode the carousel, it felt as if they had stepped into a fairy tale world. As the horses spun slowly, all worries and troubles seemed to vanish into the sky. After spending the day together, Daisy realized something profound. She could never leave Jay. She gazed at him with deep affection and told him that this was the most beautiful day of her life. Even the next day, she couldn't stop thinking about the happiness of yesterday. They continued driving down the open road. Daisy stared out the window at the passing scenery, her heart brimming with hope and anticipation for the future, as if she could see the radiant life they would build together. However, fate always seems to have a way of playing tricks on people. Jay received another call from Dr. Bertelman, who sternly warned him that he had to return Daisy to the hospital immediately, or face prison time. Left with no choice, Jay reluctantly agreed to take Daisy back, but his promise was overheard by Daisy, who stood behind him. She mistakenly believed that the man she had relied on all this time was about to abandon her. A wave of devastation overwhelmed her heart. She rushed back to the RV, started the engine, and as her tears fell like shattered pearls, she cried and accused Jay of betrayal. Daisy lost control of her emotions, and the RV sped up faster and faster until it crashed into a shipping container ahead. Luckily, Daisy was unharmed. Jay decided it was time to have a serious conversation with Daisy. Daisy slowly opened up about her past with her mother. She told Jay that for as long as she could remember, she had never stepped outside. Her mother always told her that staying inside was the safest option. But her mother often talked to herself and would suddenly scream for no reason, leaving Daisy confused and scared. Then, one night, her mother's screams echoed through the living room the entire night. When Daisy carefully stepped out of her room the next morning, she found her mother lying on the floor, lifeless. Hearing this, Jay felt as if he had woken from a dream. At last, the mystery in his heart unraveled. Daisy had never hurt anyone. She had always been a pure and innocent girl. The one who truly suffered from mental illness had been her mother all along. And Daisy had wrongly blamed herself for failing to save her.
You didn't kill her.
Why do I have to go back to the hospital then?
I did want to take you back. But now I don't. I really don't.
Am I gonna have to live at the hospital?
I don't know.
You're not gonna forget?
I'm not gonna forget.
Jay gently placed a kiss on Daisy's lips, and that kiss carried both Jay's deep love for her and the sorrow of farewell. Tears welled up in Daisy's eyes, tears of unwillingness, of reluctance to accept fate's cruelty. They gazed at each other, lost in the moment, as if the entire world had faded away, leaving only the two of them, deeply connected. Even though they didn't exchange words, the sorrow and determination in their eyes spoke more than 1,000 words ever could. In the end, Jay was sent to prison, but news of his imprisonment quickly reached his mother. She desperately pleaded with her husband to bail Jay out. However, her husband hesitated. Mrs. Wheeler, furious, confronted him. Her words struck deep into Mr. Wheeler's heart like a rushing current, stirring emotions he had long buried. In the end, he chose to step forward and arranged for Jay's bail. The moment Jay completed his release procedures, father and son locked eyes from a distance. In that instant, all the barriers between them dissolved, leaving only understanding and relief. Jay wasted no time. He rushed straight to the hospital to find Daisy, but Dr. Bertelman coldly turned him away. He even issued a stern warning. If Jay continued to cause trouble, he would end up right back in prison. But Jay refused to give up. Determined to see Daisy, he deliberately lay down on the train tracks in front of the police, feigning insanity. Just as expected, he was sent to the psychiatric hospital. But Dr. Bertelman saw through his act instantly and denied his admission without hesitation. Left with no other option, Jay revealed the truth about Daisy's mother. Dr. Bertelman was stunned. However, he couldn't simply take Jay's word for it. He needed a thorough investigation before making any decisions. Meanwhile, upon hearing that Jay had been admitted to the hospital, a strong impulse surged within Daisy. She was determined to find him, but the doctors refused to let her leave. After days of investigation, Dr. Bertelman made a shocking discovery. Daisy's mother had indeed suffered from schizophrenia and severe delusions. Since this condition had a genetic component, he needed to conduct a psychological evaluation of Daisy before determining whether she could be discharged from the hospital. A few days later, Dr. Bertelman sat down for an in-depth conversation with Daisy. He didn't ask directly about her mother. Instead, he asked about her feelings for Jay.
Have you ever been in love before, Daisy?
No.
How do you know you love Mr. Wheeler?
Have you ever been in love?
I'd like to think so, yes.
With who?
I was married.
You still love her. When it happens, you know it's not anything else.
Daisy's heartfelt words were like a key, unlocking the shackles in Dr. Bertelman's heart. He let go of his previous biases and looked at this beautiful, kind-hearted girl with fresh eyes. Like most people, I know I love him, but if you ask me where this love comes from, I may not be able to describe it in words. Because love transcends language. It takes root in the heart, quietly growing within. But my heart, my every fiber, tells me this is love. On the day of her discharge, Daisy wore the floral dress she had worn at the amusement park. In her hands, she held a bouquet of flowers. Barefoot, she stepped lightly out of the hospital ward. At the corner of the corridor, she finally saw the man she had longed for day and night. They could no longer contain their emotions. At the same time, they quickened their steps toward each other.
If you want more movie explainers like this, comment the next movie name. And subscribe to Kip's Movie Explain at K.Movie.E for more. Please visit to our Instagram and Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching till the end.